Last thing I would say about it, because it does bother me, people say indoctrination on YouTube, and because it's going to be a common attack. To be fair, what is the alternative? Because yes, we have other platforms coming out now with Rumble and things, but for a long time there, YouTube it genuinely, I think Jordan Peterson got this right, that it was a Gutenberg revolution, where it allows the democratization of information and video, and there was nothing like it. So when you say, "Oh, you're watching people on YouTube to get information," well, where else am I gonna? What's wrong with that? Precisely.
And in this day and age of misinformation, and I mean, I've always tried myself. I mean, I think it's really good advice for anyone, really, is to not get all of your information from one place. There is try and get as much of it as possible. You know, read mainstream media, even though I don't trust mainstream media as much as I used to. Watch clips on Twitter, listen to the debates, watch podcasts, get your news from talk radio as well as newspapers and things like that. And that's what I try and do. Partly because it's part of what I do, so I do have to keep up to date with what's going on in the news. But B, because it is surprising now how much of mainstream media has been exposing itself to be agenda driven. I mean, over here we've got the BBC, and there's a wide group of thought now that the BBC. Well, I won't just single out the BBC. All media,
Yeah, I think that's
in
fair.
this country. So
here as well,
all media
left
now,
and right,
people are people are losing trust. Why do you think that is? Why do you think people?
Well, because
the media,
because they are a business and they are driven by ratings. It's just like Hollywood. They're competing with social media and YouTube. I just saw Pierce an announcement yesterday, the day after that interview with him, I believe. He announced that he's
could have been his last interview.
He's moving over to YouTube because it makes more financial sense. He's like, why would we, even on nights that there's really not much in the news cycle, we have to make up fluff because we're scheduled to go on. It's not good business. It does not make business sense.
Yeah. And the statistics don't back it up either. Just from a pure statistics point of view, young people now, they don't watch.
No. That would be the next point. It's more interesting. Yeah. YouTube is you have wider variety of personalities that feel more close to you, less polished, more authentic on a daily basis. You're tuning into these personalities that you feel as though you are starting to get to know them, and they tune in for that. CNN, it's Fox News. I'm not going to cast one or the other, but they're completely different. They're in the death throes and they know it.
Totally. Well, Joe Rogan and even Tucker Carlson now, since he's left Fox, they're getting millions and millions of views on YouTube, and they don't need mainstream media. One of the things I started to realize, I felt so stupid to start with, is I started to realize that there was an agenda on the way that BBC News spoke about Brexit. They hated it. There wasn't anyone representing the other side of the debate. And that applies to everything, not just Brexit, but it certainly in the UK, we've seen it more prevalent with the Gaza conflict. So our BBC, for example, is very anti-Israel. Same with Sky News, very, very anti-Israel. And they've had to apologize. They wouldn't even call Hamas terrorists. And in the UK, Hamas is a proscribed terrorist organization. So there's been this, so you get to see this whole agenda. And I think that is what's being picked up by a lot of people now.
I experienced something very similar that had a big impact on me as well. We were talking about, as you start to wake up to these presuppositions, these assumptions, and then you start seeing it when you do watch, whether, I'm not going to single one out, but you start seeing the bias so clearly because it's just every story is tailored.
And once you see you can't unsee it.
You can't put the genie back in the bottle. That's why the red pill analogy is so good, is that if you do choose to take this one, you're going to wake up and you're never going to be able to go back.